Hey guys, okay, sorry I'm messing with my hair. I have a bobby pin stuck in it somewhere and I can't find it. I just took like a bunch out. We just got back from dinner and I had my hair all twisted and pinned up, so I had like about a billion bobby pins stuck in my hair. Okay, anyway, this is kind of a two-in-one kind of deal. This is my pregnancy vlog, week 5. Week 5. Yes, I did find out exactly how far along I am, and roughly I'm about 5.5 weeks as of today. The reason how I found that out was not a very pleasant experience, however. Friday night, which was 2 nights ago, this is Sunday, yeah, 2 nights ago, I had an ER scare. I ended up in the emergency room. What had happened is that morning I woke up, everything was fine, going great, and I had to go grocery shopping with my daughter. So I get her in the car and we're driving to the store. We get out, we start grocery shopping, it's no big deal, business as usual. And then all of a sudden, it literally feels like someone with a knife ran up to me full force and jabbed a knife in my right side. It hurt, and it hurt to a point where I kneeled over and crouched like in a little fetal position in the middle of an aisle, with my daughter in the cart screaming, not knowing what on earth was wrong with me. And the pain was so bad, like I really thought, oh my gosh, I'm gonna pass out, or oh my gosh, I'm gonna die right here in Walmart. It was really, really scary. But then just as soon as it came on, it went away completely, and I was very, very freaked out, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what is going on? So I checked out just as fast as I could. Right when I got in the car, I got on the phone and called my OB, and I was like, oh my gosh, look, I'm having this terrible pain and it's on my right side. I'm like, I'm really, really scared. And they were like, well, are you bleeding? And I'm like, well, no, I'm not bleeding. And they said, well, how is the pain on a scale of 1 to 10? And I'm like, well, right now, like a 7, but when I was in the store, it was about a 9 or 10. And she said, okay, our ultrasound technician has the afternoon off, and your doctor is in surgeries all afternoon and can't see you. And I'm like, oh, that's not comforting. And she's like, we can get you in first thing Monday morning. She said, but I would highly recommend you go to the emergency room right now. She said, if you're having really bad pain on your right side, you very well could have an ectopic pregnancy and you need to go to the hospital. So of course I start freaking out because I know what an ectopic pregnancy is and I know how dangerous it can be. And I'm like, well, so there's no way I can wait till Monday. She's like, no, honey, if it's an ectopic pregnancy, you will die. And I'm like, well, thank you. Like, she really shouldn't have been so harsh about it. But in a way, I guess it's kind of good she was harsh about it, or else I wouldn't have gone to the ER. But I call my husband and he's at work, and it's like 2 o'clock on Friday at this point. And I call him at work and he's like, okay, well, we were both really worried, and he came home and took my daughter and I to the emergency room. I was told by the nurse at my OBGYN office that pregnancy is a priority. They would get me in right away. I'd get an ultrasound and I'd know within 45 minutes to an hour what's going on. Let me tell you, that was not the case. Not even close. We get to the emergency room at 2 o'clock. We do our paperwork or whatever. They get us into triage pretty much right away. They take about 6 vials of blood. They do my, my blood pressure and take all vital signs, this is what it's called. They take all the vital signs that they need. And then they send us back out to the waiting room. And we waited in the waiting room for, 2.5 hours. With our daughter screaming her head off. So finally they call us back into the room, and they put us in a room, and by this time it's probably about 4:30. So we've already been there 2.5, 3 hours, and Zoe's getting restless, and my husband's very, very frustrated because he's having to deal with her by himself because I'm incapable of helping. But they sit in the room with me. They hook up an IV, which, I don't know if you guys can see, I still have like pretty big honking bruise from it. They put in an IV and they leave the room. So we're waiting there another 45 minutes. And then this lady comes in and she says, okay, well, we need to do a pelvic exam. And I'm like, okay, well, let's do a pelvic exam then. This whole time, I'm just waiting for the ultrasound. All I want is that ultrasound. But she comes in and she does a pelvic exam, and she has this tool that she uses to measure for dilation. She wanted to make sure my cervix was completely closed and that I wasn't dilating any at all. So she did that, and it was very awkward and uncomfortable. They put this like metal sheet thing down at the end of the bed, and I had to scoot all the way to the end of the bed, and my bottom was like higher than my head. So like my head is down here and my legs and butt are up here, and like it was very awkward and very uncomfortable. But she did the pelvic exam and she was pushing around. She's like, does this hurt? Does this hurt? She got to my right side and she pushed, and I was like, oh yeah, that really hurts. She said, okay. She said, well, you're not dilating any, so everything looks good so far. And I'm like, okay, well, at least I'm not dilating, you know. So then we end up having to call my husband's father to come get Zoe because she was impossible. She was done. She was not going to take it anymore. And it kind of sucked because, yeah, we had to call him, and it was super nice of him to come get her. But we had to tell him why I was in the hospital and what was going on. So we ended up telling my husband's dad that I was pregnant and I was in the hospital. And it was, I don't know, it sucked because it was like we almost couldn't be joyous about it because we were so scared that something was going wrong. So that's not the way we wanted to tell him at all. But circumstances couldn't be helped, I guess, so we had to tell him. So he is nice enough to take our daughter back to his house. Okay, so then my husband leaves with his dad and Zoe to go and switch the car seat because he had to move the car seat from our car to his dad's car so that he could drive her back to his house. So I am sitting in the room by myself, and I'm like, great, I just know they're gonna come get me for this ultrasound and he's still gonna be gone. And no sooner did I think that the lady walked in and said, okay, time for your ultrasound. And I'm like, can I wait for my husband? And she said, no, we really need to do this right now, we're on a schedule. And I'm like, well, I would really like my husband to go in with me. Like, God forbid something be wrong, I don't want to be in there by myself. But as it turns out, I got in there and I wasn't even allowed to look at the screen at all. But the lady was so nice. She laid me down and she started doing she had to do the transvaginal ultrasound, obviously, because I'm so early. And she's like, okay, so how far along are you? And I'm like, I don't really know. If I had to guess, I'd say 6-7 weeks. She said, okay. She's like, well, I have you measuring at 5 weeks. And according to your blood work, that's correct. You are just barely 5 weeks along. And I'm like, really? So I'm like way earlier than I thought. So of course my mind starts blowing up and I start asking her all these questions, which legally she's really not supposed to answer. But she does anyway, just because I kept bugging her. And I was like, okay, so there is a baby, right? There's only one baby. And she's like, yes, there's one baby. She said, I don't see much of a fetus right now, obviously, because it's so early. There was no heartbeat. But again, it's 5 weeks. There's not supposed to be a heartbeat at 5 weeks. She said the baby's in the uterus. Everything looked beautiful and perfectly normal. And when she said that, I just started crying because I had been in that hospital since 2 o'clock, and this was probably around 7:30 at night that I'm getting this ultrasound. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So for about 6 hours, 6.5 hours, I am scared to death. I don't know what's going on, and I'm just praying constantly that everything's going to be okay. So she says there is a baby and it's fine. You know, everything looks great, and I just couldn't have been happier. She found the cause for my pain on my right side. Whenever you're pregnant, you develop a cyst, and it's called the corpus luteum cyst. And what it does is it develops on whichever ovary released the egg that is fertilized, from what I'm told. And this corpus luteum cyst releases the progesterone, the HCG. It releases all the hormones you need to sustain a pregnancy. And she said, I had that cyst and it looked really good, but it was a little bit enlarged. And she said, that's what the pain on your right side is that corpus luteum cyst. She said, so whenever you feel that pain, you don't have to worry or freak out. You know it's normal. It's supposed to be there. And just take some Tylenol, lay down, and take it easy, and don't stress out about it. And I just hearing that, I was just like, oh, thank you, God, thank you. You know, it's like, even though this pregnancy wasn't planned, we want it, like, we want this baby so bad now because it's here, you know, it's here, and, you know, planned or not, it's a welcomed and blessed event, and we're going to be happy about it. But then she wheeled me back to the room, and of course my husband's sitting there, and he's like, what happened? So I filled him in. I told him everything was fine. And then about 2 hours after that, I was in the hospital so long, you guys, so long. And about 2 hours after that, the doctor came in, and he said, okay, so you're about 5 weeks along. He said, you're still very early. He said, you know, everything looks great so far. He said, you know, you shouldn't be worrying about anything. He said, as long as you see a heartbeat on your ultrasound that you have on October 12th, then he said, you know, he would pretty much rest easy. And I'm like, great. So I can't really officially rest easy until October 12th. But it was a relief to at least know everything's okay, so I'm not going 3 weeks worrying to death about all this pain I'm having. But we're really excited. We're so happy that everything is going good. By that night, by like 11:30 midnight, they finally released us. I swear, we sat there for like 4 hours, and they finally got our releasing paperwork or whatever done, and we signed them and left. We were so glad to be gone. And Ace's poor dad was watching Zoe from like 4:30 till midnight, and she didn't nap, she didn't sleep, she was just running around the house like crazy. He looked so tired. I just thanked him profusely, and I don't know, I was so happy that he was there to watch her, because things would have been a lot more difficult, and she was freaking out. Like, when I had the pelvic exam, she had to come apart. She was not about to sit there and watch mommy be in pain or watch mommy be hurt. So it's really making me reevaluate whether I want to take her to our first ultrasound or not. I'm thinking we probably don't need to, because she's gonna have a fit, and she gets very worried if she sees mommy laying down and being poked by doctors, because she knows that she doesn't like being poked by doctors, so she gets scared and she starts saying, Mommy, no, don't let them hurt you. And me telling her, it's okay, baby, it's okay, it doesn't do any good. So, I don't know, it might be best just to leave her at home. But I'm so relieved that everything is okay, at least for now. Everything's good. I've been feeling good, though, since I got back. You know, they tried to give me some really kick butt painkillers, and I'm like, I'm pregnant, I'm not going to take anything more stronger than a Tylenol. I don't want my kid to come out with two heads. So I just kind of dealt with the pain, and, you know, whatever, I don't even care. I'm just glad everything is looking okay. Let's see, it seems like there was something else I was supposed to talk about. I'm just going to do a separate video and like talk about symptoms and stuff, because I have so many. I have so many symptoms. But I'll do another video on that. So look for the week 5 pregnancy vlog. I'll probably title this like ER scare or something, but it was so scary, so scary. I would not wish that feeling on my worst enemy. I would not wish any pregnant woman to ever have to go to the ER and wonder and be scared if they're losing their child or if something's wrong, because it's very scary, and I couldn't imagine how mothers feel when there actually is something wrong. I don't know what I would have done. I would have had a nervous breakdown or something, I guess. I don't know. But we're just praying that everything is going well, and yeah, I feel good. I feel really good, and we're so excited. Yeah, I'm going to show you guys the week 5 belly. I've been doing like research and stuff, and apparently it's totally normal to show this soon. I'm running out of time, so I'm going to have to do this quick. you guys see that? Right here. It's craziness. And I'm only 5 weeks. What the mess? Seems like I shouldn't be showing that much, but talk to you all later. Bye.